on loneliness. I remember long ago being advised to read a book by the American sociologist David Reisman called The Lonely Crowd, and it influenced me a great deal. This was when I was an undergraduate, because he captured something there which appealed to me, which was that the idea that as we grow from childhood into adulthood, so loneliness increases. And as the world, through the Protestant Reformation and modern industrial urban society evolves, so likewise societies become atomized, and you have a crowd of people, but they are lonely. It's perhaps a reflection of Tocqueville's view of America in his great book on democracy in America, the free-floating atoms of individualistic modernity. And the contrast of all this was, of course, community-based societies where you are integrated into your family, into your village, into your whole nation, perhaps. And there people are connected, whereas in the modern West, and I, as a late teenager, was disconnected, what the sociologist Durkheim calls rootlessness or anomie. So modern societies were filled with anomie, and that Durkheim thought was one of the reasons why there were high suicide rates in such societies, because people didn't feel any kind of connection with each other. They didn't feel connected, and this was described by Tocqueville, that we were brushing against many people. You got on a bus, you got in a crowd, you walked down the street, and you didn't feel any connection with the people you met. And certainly when I went to Nepal and lived in a village for a year, it was a different world. Everyone seemed to be embedded in that society, and I've seen the same thing in China and Japan. People's lives affected each other, and you could even see this in things like the death rituals in British society. It may be that a person will die and hardly anyone will turn up, and the grieving is very short, and just the person's husband or wife is deeply affected, but other people don't seem to take it too badly. Whereas in the Nepalese village I worked in, everyone is affected by a death, their whole position, and so the grieving goes on in a ritual for 3 days, and the whole social structure is altered. So anomie and loneliness are a feature of our world, and we try to overcome it in all sorts of ways, through love, but that's usually for one partner or other, through particularly joining meaningful associations of various kinds, clubs and institutions. So hanging out with people, friendships, joining whatever kind of club or organization. For a moment, your separateness is gone, and certainly I find friendship a great solace for loneliness. When I hear from friends, when I re-meet them, when we share joys and sorrows, then the loneliness is mitigated. But it is always there. One is always the lone individual. If you're a believer, with God; if you're not, on your own. And that is a condition that is difficult, and it's been exacerbated obviously hugely by the recent COVID outbreak, and many people are depressed by an increased sense of loneliness. But through effort and through going out and through establishing relationships, and in our imaginative world, which we can people with whatever we like and many friends, we can restore a sense of community and closeness, which otherwise we would have lost. So in these lonely times, become closer to people and that will overcome the loneliness.